Okay guys, let's start off a little putting work today. We're going to start from square one, make sure everybody's on the same page of what we want to work on with our putting. So to start, we're going to think really solid with the lower body. When I'm thinking about making a putting stroke, I don't want to have very much movement with my lower body. I want to feel good and solid with it, and we're just rocking the shoulder. You see when I putt, that lower body is staying very steady. We only have the lower body in the full swing for the power that we need. When we're making this short of a stroke, I can stay nice and steady there with it. The second part that we're going to think about, and I really like telling people about this early, is how the left wrist really controls where that putter's going to go. You can tell when we set this up, if I start turning that left wrist, that putter's going to turn with it. If I'm talking about a 6-foot putt right here, and right there's on line, and right there misses the putt by 6 inches, we have to be very steady with our wrist coming through. You guys can all, right there where you're standing, go ahead and take the putter for me. Choke up just a little bit, but go left hand only on the grip. Roll some putts with your left hand. And really back and forth with that stroke. Try a couple where you actually turn that wrist a little bit. You see how much that affects the club face? So we can really feel when we do this, how square we want to keep those wrists coming through impact. Now go ahead and switch it up. Work the right hand for me. Same thing, that right hand. Some people like to be a little bit more right hand dominant when they're putting. Some people like to be left hand dominant. What we will find with both of these, doing both drills here, is how one hand's going to work, the other hand's going to work separately, then bring them together. Feel how both hands now work together. Now when we do this, we should be able to feel very steady. If I'm not manipulating those wrists, if I'm keeping that putter head nice and square, we should be very consistent with putting. We're going to hit the ball right down the line that we want. We just finished talking about the setup that we wanted to have with it. If that's good and we're not manipulating that club face, all it is feeling the speed out. Sound good? Beautiful. Okay guys, we'll take some time here to discuss how important the lower body is in the swing and how big, especially that right leg, is going to be in the golf swing for making sure we keep balance and making sure we stay strong and powerful all the way through the swing. When I think about a strong right leg, I'm thinking about a drill that I like to tell people to do is feel like when we're going back, keeping my knee in place. Try and do that. Everybody take into a setup. Start turning back and feel like you try and keep your right knee in place. It's not something I expect to actually happen in the golf swing, but when you do you feel some tension up in the inside of your right leg? We should feel really loaded up on that right leg. So I love that drill of really feeling like I'm going to keep it in place. Again, even mine, it's going to turn a little bit back, but I feel like I'm good and powerful there. If I get weak going back, the cause and effect here is if I get really weak going back, you can see I've got no power on that right side. I really have nothing to drive off of that leg. What's going to happen when I do that? My upper body's going to want to take over the golf swing. So the cause and effect there is that if I can stay good and strong, and especially if I feel that coil in that leg when I go back, when I start that downswing, that muscle wants to fire. I mean, it's primed, it's ready to go. I like that it's a thought. You don't have to think too much about getting it going. If I stay strong here with it, it wants to go. We can keep ourselves natural, keep everything very smooth there. It also helps us from swaying back and forth. A big problem if we get weak on that right leg is to let ourselves drift backwards. You can see how far that hip's actually traveled outside the foot there, how much I have to travel back to the golf ball. So that's just going to cause inconsistency. If we're talking about staying nice and centered and being able to make good, clean contact with it, if I'm weak and I'm moving all over the place here, I got to time it perfectly to get it back to the golf ball. Or if I can think about staying strong and staying centered with it, I still get the turn, I still get the rotation back. But you can see I have not had to move very much to get there. I've got power. I've got the biggest muscle in my body that I can really drive and create power in the golf swing off of. And I've kept that balance to where I'm not having to sway back and forth. I'm not having to work so much timing-wise to hit a good golf ball. We're just less movement, less moving pieces. Going to make it easier for us to be consistent every time hitting the golf ball.